I got to play this piece in church a few weeks ago, and a friend asked me for the music. A couple friends did, so I thought I would give a couple little tips for playing this relatively easy piece of music. It is a level 7 according to Piano Street's leveling system, pianostreet.com. I recommend that website, by the way. That would be a level 7 out of 8 plus levels. So for Royal Conservatory, it may be 7 or 8. Truly, all of these are subjective and depends on how you play the piece. You do not have to play it at a super advanced level to enjoy it. And that's the great thing about practicing music on your own at home. So if I can give you some tips, I will do that. A couple of things, probably 3 things to think about. Voicing at the beginning, it is like a hymn. In fact, it comes from a psalm that was sung in the 1500s. It's a French setting, which we now sing in the, if you're familiar with Comfort Ye My People, it's the same tune as this. If that hymn comes up in your mind, it's definitely in the Trinity hymnal. And this was to Psalm 42 in Liszt's mind as he set this psalm from the church at Geneva. So with the singing in mind, that's the first point I want to make. You need to voice the top, and every time there's the melody in the piece, you need to voice that forward. Just a quick understanding of that. Liszt was a proponent, maybe the originator of taking the bel canto style of singing and putting it in his compositions and in his own performance. And that simply means the style of bel canto, which was a very lyrical, a very clear-voiced way of singing, very beautiful. You can look that up. That was what Liszt's thoughts were when he wrote much of his music and performed it. So that dovetails with something that I love. I've always loved singing and hearing singing, and so I tend to look at music for the piano as trying to produce a singing sound. I heard a dancer talking once that she hears everything as a dance, and that's how she approaches it on the piano. So I tend to do it in a singing way, and I think it's a very beautiful thing to do, especially with 19th century music, romantic period music. So, number 1, the singing tone in the hymn. So there's your first line of music. It's in half notes, so he intends it to be quite slow, and that probably is a little bit fast. But voice that by pressing, letting the weight of your arm hit down, or just let the weight of your arm way down on that note, and then the other notes must be lightly, so practice the light ones. Now with voicing, let it just go maybe even harshly, and then try to make it sit down a little more gently. And then as you're playing, barely play the key, and then it plays even softer than what you're playing up here, than the melody to be voiced. Do the same thing here. Sing still. You can hear that top note like you want to now. So that's a really good exercise. That wasn't good. Let's try that again. So as you practice this voicing, you may have to have various fingers doing that voicing of the melody louder than other parts. Now let's jump down to the next difficulty. Number 2 is arpeggiated chords. These are very widely spaced, and so can be difficult. If you have a large hand, it's going to be a little easier for you. And even if you do have a large hand, you may need to stretch some, like just think of careful, thoughtful stretching like you would after running. Be careful not to overdo it. I actually did that once, and I had to stop a certain kind of stretching with my hands because there was pain, and it lasted for a while. So just be very careful with that. All right, so now we have to think about fingering. These are pretty straightforward. A full hand here, 1, 2, 5. We are in measure 33, 4, 5, 6, 7, now 38. Now, again, large stretches, but they'll still go with this fingering very nicely. Here you need to turn your left hand over for a 2. This is the last measure on the first page. In my edition, that would be measure 39. And by the way, you can go to IMSLP, and download this score. Liszt, Psaumé, however you say that. Now we're at the top of the second page, 41, measure 41. So that's the second chord in that measure. You're turning over your thumb just like you did earlier. Might be easier to go ahead and do it the way I did it the first time. Let the left hand carry this. Then, and again, you could do alternate fingering. Now, these are alternate fingerings. Let's go back to the reinforced più crescendo. 41, 2, 3, 4, 5. 45. This is the way I played it. I've played it on the video. That's a very big stretch. But it allows me to play the tempo that I want. Turn, and another turn in the left, as you have been doing, that 2 over 1. So there's a cross with the left hand for 2 chords. Let's go back for an alternate fingering here on the arpeggiated section. So instead of let's see, taking all those with the 5th finger, let's try it with the left hand. There, I don't know that you need it. Oh, sorry. Let's just keep going. We're in measure, what was it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 again. Here, we're at reinforced più crescendo spot. Take those things as slowly as you need to, and you can work those crosses out, and then you'll be right in range to cross over with the whole chord. Now I roll those chords at the top because I like it. That's just what I wanted to do. All right. Now one last thing on this. Basically, the third problem in this piece is these chords taking the melody, but it becomes quite fast because of the jumping chords. but you get the idea and how to play this. Just a full fistful of chord. If you need to roll it at the end, do. I should have said a fistful of notes. So there's an alternate fingering for that, because this is very wide with all those notes. All right. So moving on to the next section. This is pretty lyrical. Now, I would say about this is that just take your time with it as you're performing it or just playing it for yourself. And we go to the bottom, the next section, we are back to rolled chords or arpeggiated chords. So what I would advise here is to take your time. So a practice tip, a couple of practice tips, I had these written down somewhere, let's see if I can remember them. I would take each section, and a section can be as small as a few notes in one measure, whatever you need to work out. And it's smart to work from the back. Take your last measure and then back up. You'll be working toward what you know best. And my advice would be to take one section and run it at least 3 times. If you have patience for more, do. But every day, if you could do one section or 2 or 3, whatever you can do, but do it 3 times at one sitting. And then try to do that 3 times during the day, morning, noon, and night, something like that. And then start to run the sections together and do those 3 times a day in one sitting. And then try to do it another time or 2, hopefully 3 times. And then when you're finished with all of the sections, backing up to the beginning, again, that's an ideal way to do it. If you want to start at the beginning, of course, do. You might want to hit the ground running with an easier melody. Once you do this, then you can play the whole piece 3 times a day and in one sitting, and then maybe even do that 3 times. And then after that, take your phone and record it and send it to a friend, or send it to yourself and listen back. But don't be afraid to send it to a close friend as well, and enjoy what you've accomplished on it. I hope you enjoyed that, and we'll see you the next time.